Bonsoir, Afrique Média. Vous êtes les meilleurs. Oui, bonsoir, monsieur. Je suis le...
Afrique Média, le monde, c'est nous.
Hello?
Hello, you're on the program. Good day to you, sir.
I very appreciate it. I very appreciate all what you are talking about it. Good day and good day to all the viewers of Afrique Media. Thank you, Afrique Media. Thank you for what you are doing.
Africa is beginning to position itself as an emerging continent, reaching opportunities for both investment and business. The continent is beginning to show its first signs of political and economic recovery, and the data points to the century in which Africa is expected to be one of the main players. However, developments on the ground remains slow, and it is difficult to refer to the continent in terms of consolidation. Africa is home to 16.7% of the global population, but generates just 3% of global GDP and accounts for mere 3% of global trade. It is also home to 6 of the world's 10 top expanding economies, yet the lack of sustainable infrastructure, investment, and development remains a red flag for future economic growth. While experts believe that resolving these lapses can be dealt with as Africans or within Africa, other opinions hold that promoting bilateral trade between Africa and other continents could possibly unlock more opportunities needed for vital growth. Thus, the first ever business-to-business trade show dedicated to African business owners and business professionals to showcase their products will take place this year in Malaysia. The hope is to promote bilateral trade and showcase African products to Asia. Africa and Asia are known to be the largest two continents in the world to lead the global economy in the future. But the question many keep asking is, are the African economies ready for this challenge? What should African governments do to ensure equal benefits from such opportunities? Stay with us. This is Views on the Continent. Okay. Hello.
Bonsoir.
Thanks for joining us on your Pan African Television Afrique Media. It's an opportunity for us to join you as we look into issues and events in the African continent. We're always delighted to know that you're watching us out there, and thanks again for being there. On today's program, we're looking at Africa as a whole, and our interest is looking at Africa as a continent of the future. And this, of course, is what is drawing many attention, with many asking the question, are Africa equally ready for the challenge, considering that Africa is the continent of the future? That's what we're discussing today, and what can governments do to ensure benefits from bilateral relations. We shall equally, during the program, look at one of the biggest business-to-business meetings which will be holding this year in Malaysia. It's going to be an expo exhibition where Africans are going to have the opportunity to have their goods displayed to the Asian market. More of that we shall be discussing this day on the program with our panelists who will join us this day. We have on the other side of Zoom, we have Mr. Chair Alphonse Lawson Helu. He is the president of Board of Governors of University of Sunny Boniface from Canada. Mr. Alphonse, thanks for joining us in the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for your program. Very interesting program for African people and the African continent, and I'm happy to be here today.
For equally accepting our invitation. Our interest today, we're looking at Africa as the continent of the future. When we say Africa is the continent of the future, how do you look at Africa, and where do you see Africa in maybe 10 years or in the century from now?
You know, that's very interesting topic. Africa, I think, is the continent of the future. In economically point of view, you know that Africa is the youngest continent in the world.
Yeah.
And the median age is 19 years old. And Africa have the most important first material in the world.
Yeah.
And we do know also that Africa is the most important in terms of contribution of all the about the market, in terms of market, in terms of consumption, in terms of the growth. African continent is a continent of the future. So we think we do have the best interest for African people and African continent in terms of trade, international trade, and we will develop during that discussion all the advantage that Africa has as a continent of the future.
Yes, exactly. Our interest is the advantage Africa has as the continent for the future, just like you said, with the youngest population and a vast market. But the big question is, are the African governments taking advantage of this vast opportunity presented to them, the young continent and the vast market, ready manpower and all the rest? Are we taking advantage of that? We look at how the African governments are managing possibly their countries and how they are welcoming such opportunities presented to them.
Before we come to that, I think we need to present the situation today. You know, what's the place at this point of Africa's place in the trade world? In 2019, Africa accounted for 2.8 for the global trade. Africa's intra-regional trade accounted for only 4.4% for the total trade, total continental trade. So the question you might ask, why does Africa occupy a marginal place in the world? You know, Africa is generally marginalized in the world trade because income are very, very low in Africa. Specialization do not allow for international trade, and also we do have a very restricted international market access. So what's the cause? Essentially because of insufficient infrastructure and institution, the low level of per capita income and inconsistent in terms of trade policy. So our government, different countries, government in Africa, have to think about the future of Africa and then position African trade as in the best interest of African people. Lack of political vision, political instability, small market size, difficulties in accessing finance, and low level of human capital are also the main problem, major impediment of Africa trade, and also the very, very small scale of industrialization of the continent. Those are the main problems that try to impediment Africa, also Africa international trade in the world.
All right. After outlining some of the challenges like lack of political vision, instability, as well as low capital and all this, where do we go from here? When we look at the fact that many look at Africa as rich in natural resources, blessed with a lot of vast land and for possible agricultural development and more, but we are not using the opportunity. Who do we blame here? The leaders of these different countries, or should we say maybe regional organizations should step in to maybe enforce policies that could better manage these aspects to, come out of this quagmire and maybe possibly place their countries on the better scale to benefit from the opportunities that it's available?
I think we do have different reason to explain that situation. First of all, it comes like a political vision. Okay. But we have to recognize that in terms of organization, Paul Kagame, that's the president of the Republic of Rwanda, has been appointed, to lead the AU institutional reform process. And he appointed a Pan-African committee of experts to examine and submit proposals for an AU governance system that would better position Africa as the greatest, let's say, growth and development in the future. So they call it a vision, Agenda 2063. It's a really good document. So Agenda 2063 places great importance on the role that trade plays in developing economy, and recognize that trade is a powerful engine of economic growth and development. So in Africa, we do have barriers to trade that result in fragmented regional economy that over time has positioned Africa in the global trade market as a supplier of raw materials, commodity, in exchange for manufactured goods, making the continent share a global trade very insignificant. So the challenge posed by the continuous fluctuation of the economy position Africa as a very good place. So without a vision, we think we do have a better chance if they try to implement those policies globally at the scale of the continent, that I think Africa have a better chance to be involved in international trade in the world.
Yeah, Africa being involved in international trade and possibly having equal benefits. Now, what do you think could be the role that the African Union should play? Many know that it is a body that pilots or champions the activities of the of Africa to move as a body, to benefit as a body, because we've realized that maybe individual countries might not have the capacity or the potential to to bargain in the international market, but moving as a continent could be a better chance. What do you think could be the role that the African Union should play in making this happen?
I think African Union has a main role, like I said, because we are divided, right? We are divided in 53 continents. And when it comes to international trade negotiation, each country tried to negotiate on this side, and it caused a lot of, let's say, it's not in the best interest of African people. So I think in the context of the Agenda 2063, AU has developed continental frameworks and flagship projects aimed to adding value to African commodity, reducing reducing barriers to intra-African trade, and creating a larger market for African goods and services among its population of more than 1 billion. So AU initiative in trade sector are seen as essential to stimulate investment, and also in the pooling of African resources to enhance structural transformation and the development of regional value chain, and increase the capacity of African countries. So I think that we need to see it as a great opportunities for African countries. So that will also need that African talk as a continent, not divided. And we have to see some sectors, like we need to, for example, review the currency, come as a continent to form, like for one currency, for example, for Africa, and also review in terms of the negotiation how we trade our all the commodities that we have in Africa. So most of the negotiation are the consequences of colonialization. So all the stuff we do have in Africa were completely ravaged by a European country. So we need to come up with a new agreement on those commodity, and also try to industrialize Africa. The main point is to industrialize Africa, because if you are always be a continent to be a place other power came and then take our commodities or our materials. So, and then we don't have power in terms of, we don't control our currency. We are not in a good position to be part of the international trade. And the consequences of that is African people will still poor. So we need to change the paradigm, come up with something like what UA is proposing, and make sure that the African continental free trade area that they are proposing, that refer to a continental geographic zone in which goods and service flow and are unrestricted between the UN members states. So it's very important that we create the condition that allow African countries to trade internally, and then to come as a better position to deal with Asia, to deal with with America, or to deal with the European countries.
Funds, we will come back to you, but just time enough equally for us to welcome one of our panelists who's just joining us. She's in the person of Dr. Mofo Clementine Cendo. Welcome to Africa Media.
Thank you. What an honor to
be
here with you.
It's actually a privilege to have you. And you are the Asia Africa Chamber of Commerce President of Cameroon, and equally the President of Next Consolidated. Yes. Am I correct?
Thank you. Yes, of course, these are my positions.
Yes, exactly. And we have the opportunity to be talking with you with regards to the upcoming Expo Africa Asia, an opportunity for African businesses to showcase what they have to the Asian world. This will be taking place, of course, in Malaysia.
Yes.
All right.
Very well. So first, as a Chamber of Commerce existing here, we have an Asian African Chamber of Commerce that is already to tell us Africans that we can do business with Asia without fear. And we're certain that there is someone looking at our back to take the right decisions and sign the right deals, and linking us up with the right personalities. That's why we're having our first very important event, which is an expo, not carrying the people in the diaspora and bringing them here, but carrying our stuff, our projects, our products, our services, our ideas. We go out there, showcase, so we could get investors, we could get partners, we could get like minds, we could get preferential treatments even at the government policy decision making. That's why we're going along with government officials, not just in Cameroon, but all over Africa. And we're encouraging everybody who knows where he or she is going to get involved, because it's time for Africa to shine. It's no time for us to stay as slaves anymore. It's about time we step out there and do what we were born and created to do.
Yeah, Africa, many say it's already shining. It's for us. It's left for us now and our governments to know how to make that bright light to be seen throughout the world. Africa, just like we're looking at the program today, our topic is Africa. The future is it's the continent of the future. And if you say Africa is the continent of the future, what do you think is the benefit and some of the benefits which exposing Africa, the products from Africa in Asia is going to have on African businesses?
I think I come from another angle. I come from another angle because I don't think we stand to benefit. We are the bedrock. We are the reasons why people are succeeding.
Yeah.
If you look at back in time, all right, back in time, in the times of the Third World War, the First World War, the Second World War, people were always fighting. And by the time you want to be a superpower, it's about how many African countries can you amass to yourself, which means Africa is where the real deal is. Africa is where the best nutrients, the best industries could be created, the best lands, the people, their intelligence. That's where you could always have. Africa is the place where many do not know, especially Africans, they do not know what they are and who they really are supposed to be recognized to be. And then people from outside have recognized who we are, and then they come and begin to feed from us.
Feed from us,
And
exactly.
now, we are beginning to know who we are today. And we have to change that table.
Yeah.
We are not going to accept being at the beggar's end anymore. We have to lead.
Okay.
We have to lead
And-
at every level.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about the Asia Africa Expo.
Expo.
Yeah.
It's
Who
it's
is to
actually
Asia Africa
no, it's actually an African expo
holding
holding in Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Yes, it's
All right.
an African expo. Africans are carrying their goods and services and expertise to Malaysia or in because Malaysia is actually representing Asia. We're going to showcase what we got so that we can be able to connect with our counterparts outside Cameroon, outside Africa, in Asia. We bring them over for us to build a bilateral trade.
All right. Let me talk with Mr. Chair Alphonse. Mr. Alphonse, what do you think could be the benefit of African goods exposed out there in Asia as a continent? What, in your opinion, do you think Africa stands to benefit from such an opportunity?
I think Africa and Asia, both being the largest two continents in the world, and we believe they will be leading the global the global economy in the future. Therefore, Asia, Asia being the largest continent, is expected to be the 50% of the global domestic product, the GDP, by 2040. And we do know that Asia drives 40% of the world consumption. In other hand, Africa also, we do know that 16 represents 16% of the population. And like I already said, the median age is 19, and the youngest continent. And we do know also that Africa has been showing significant growth in purchasing power, 4.8 per capita growth in 2 years. So those estimate that the value of the African market is estimated to reach, in the future, more than 10 trillion USD by 2050. So to open the market for African products and services globally, especially to Asia continent, will give really Africa opportunity to increase significantly its global domestic product, and also to be part of the international trade, give opportunities to African entrepreneurs and African countries to have a better deal in a certain way, and also give more job and opportunity to African people. So I think there are a great chance for Africa to shift its policy and to take advantage of Asia global market. But before to be able to be in better position, we need some structural changes before we can really take advantage of that international trade.
Attend this exhibition in Malaysia? What kind of personalities? Just business people, because we know it's the first business to business conference or opportunity to happen. Who are those to attend?
The upcoming Expo is expecting everybody who knows how to do something. Like I said earlier, we need plus government officials, because we're going to be deciding on some very important topics and important decisions will be taken on this table that will involve exactly governments.
Okay.
And if we don't have our government truly
Yeah.
represented, some wrong decisions could come into play, or we could go contrary to some decisions. So we are expecting to have at least our government represented. And then we have business officials, startups, we have established businesses in almost every network that we're looking at, because we talk industries, we talk trade, we talk investments, we talk in education, we're talking everything development. So we are down for everybody and anybody who is ready to showcase or to move his or her idea or project to a next level or global recognition. So we're not limiting anybody. We don't have limitations. Even the media is expected. Yesterday I was talking with the bank to see how we could set up our own local banks out there in Asia, just to help currency exchange in case of buying and exchange of goods or exchange rates in finances. So
Okay.
everybody is very much welcome.
So how do we get to Malaysia?
Okay, getting to Malaysia is quite simple. I'm right here, and I think you are there, so they can get to me through you if need be. But however, if you want to get to us physically, we are located. Our office presently is in Yaoundé at Bastos. I think, I don't know if we have to drop a number or something, but
No, definitely.
They
Maybe
could
they
always
can
get to
they can
you.
get to. You have a Facebook page. You have a platform where people can get more information.
Of
So
course,
it's
of
always-
course. Maybe you want to write to me directly, because those who are coming from Cameroon, have to get to me directly. So Mofo Clementine Cendo, you find me on Facebook. I think like that you easily get me. I'm always very active on Facebook. If you write DM me, you can always get to me. And our terms and conditions are not rigid. We are flexible. It's not scary. So reach out if you feel like you want to go global. You want to get that international investor. There's some machineries you've been hoping to get probably outside Cameroon. You can reach out to us and we can give you the leeway without any hurdles.
All right. The moment equally, many will be maybe having the challenge of, if it's the first time for somebody traveling to Asia, do you facilitate traveling as well for those who intend going there?
That was the first challenge myself I had when the Expo issue came up in Malaysia, because we don't have a Malaysian embassy in Cameroon, which we have to facilitate that to happen. We need to bring the Malaysian embassy here in Cameroon. So we are basically those who are already showing interest. We process all the papers. We process all your papers to visa. All you need to do is put your bag together
Okay.
and we pick you up.
All right. Put your bags together and you
Yes.
picked up. Mr. Chair, funds. What do you think is a message you'll be telling Africans, and what do you advise them, possibly on how to benefit from such an opportunity? You know, is to better the economy, to better maybe their businesses and all the rest.
So we really welcome the Malaysia Expo opportunity, because it's a great opportunity, exchange opportunity between African continent and Asia countries. It's a great opportunity to connect the industry players, especially manufacturers, service providers, policy makers, potential clients, and then to create opportunity, trade opportunity. It's also a great opportunity to connect government bodies, chambers, association from these continents, and also to encourage, trade between the two continents. But before you get the best opportunity of those exposure, you have to be strong. You have to come strong to the table. If you don't come strong to the table, you won't be able to get that opportunity. So that means at the end of the day, Malaysia or Asia will take advantage of those opportunities, and African people won't be able to take the best opportunity. So that's why I'm thinking about it's very important that we reframe our structural guideline of our economy. For example, if we think about the place of Africa in the world trade, in 2019, Africa accounted for 2.8 of the global trade. It's really insignificant, and also Africa is marginalized. Africa is marginalized in international trade because we have a low income, right? And specialization do not allow for diversify insertion in international trade, and we do not have infrastructures and a great institution. We do have a low level per capita income and inconsistent trade policy. So those are a significant obstacle to African development. So if you go to international to deal with other countries, we have to make sure that we do some changes, structural changes, because lack of political vision, political instability, small market size, difficulties in accessing finance, low level of human capital, those are kind of obstacles for us to take a best advantage of opportunity, like in Malaysia. We can also add lack of infrastructure. We do have a barrier in terms of entrepreneur to have access to finance, and also we have in terms of trade deal, international trade deal, those trade that in place have been not negotiated in the best interest of African people. And if you accumulate all those factors, we are not in the best condition to take the best advantage of those trades. So we need to come up as African people united and think about all those structural problems that can best advance our position when it comes to international trade.
During your argument, Dr. Cendo, you said you didn't agree with something he said, saying that Africa, of course, is being marginalized. Africa is not having the right benefits, which, of course, is supposed to have. When we look at the potentials, the resources, and the manpower and all the rest, do you think we're actually having that equal benefit?
When we talk about marginalization, it means that you're fully equipped and yet your abilities are not recognized. Am I right?
Of course.
Now, Africans, are you ready for the international trade? Are you ready for the international standard? Africans barely train themselves to meet up with the demands of at the international level. We mostly think very local, and at the end of the day, we cry out we are marginalized. When our leaders step out there to make decisions, trust me, every policy maker, every decision maker, every contract that's going to be signed intergovernmental, it's going to be to favor every individual. Now, when our leaders go out there, do they look at our benefits?
So who do we blame here? Do we blame the leaders who represent us, or we blame ourselves for not being trained to meet up with the expectations of the international market?
We blame our system.
Okay.
We blame our system. And sometimes I choose not to blame anybody. I just think that let's identify where the flaws is. and fix it.
Okay.
Because when you identify that, okay, this is the reason why I am not able to sit on the decision table, the reason is lack of knowledge, expertise, and the rest, equip yourself to that level then. So that when things like this come up, and another thing that we are very limited with is connectivity, networking. Sometimes we feel that we could always become what we want to become as ourselves. It's not possible. We need to connect with other people. And sometimes you get to sign deals without carefully looking at the level for which the global standard expects you to look at it.
Okay.
And when the decisions finally come out, we stand to lose.
All right. We have Senator Oluwade to join us via Zoom. Dr. Oluwade, if you're there, please put on your camera. Let's welcome you here on the program. Senator Oluwade, if you're there, and equally Ms. Hema.
Yes, Ms. Hema.
Welcome to the program.
They are both in Malaysia right now.
Oh, in
And they're
Malaysia.
celebrating the African Day.
Of course, it's African Day.
Good evening from Malaysia.
Okay.
Dr. Oluwade.
I'm not a doctor yet. I also be a doctor someday.
Senator,
sorry.
Senator Oluwade.
All right, Dr. Cendo has contaminated me with the doctor, and I'm attributing it to you. Senator Oluwade, put on your camera, let's see you, and we're privileged to have you in the program. All right, Senator Oluwade, you joined us from Malaysia. How is Malaysia today? And please tell us how prepared is Malaysia as we are expecting to, or as you're expecting to host other African nations for the first and ever biggest, let's say, Expo coming up in just less than a month from now. How prepared is Malaysia?
So we just finished the Africa Day, not quite long, about 30 minutes ago in Malaysia, where we had all the African head of missions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and other Africans in Malaysia come up together to celebrate the Africa Day here. And as we all know, the Africa Expo was also pitched at the Africa's Day, and all the Africa heads of missions are in full support of the Africa Expo because it's a thing that both governments have been looking out for. Everybody wants to come and explore in Africa. The Africans also want to bring in their products to Asia because you see most of the Asian products are in Africa, but we don't have our products here in Asia. And that was why we decided to bring up this event. And everybody is anticipating, the Malaysian community is anticipating to receive the Africans. The Asian community is anticipating to also receive the Africans, you know, to bring in their products, to exhibit their products, and to showcase what the cultures and traditions of Africa really looks like. So we're very well prepared to receive Africans into Malaysia.
For that information, do we have Miss Hema as well? Is it possible to connect to you, Miss Hema? If you're there, we'll be equally pleased to have you. Unfortunately, we can connect with Miss Hema at the moment. And
Maybe I want to talk.
yeah, back to you, Dr. Cendo. Yeah.
Yes, Miss Hema is actually the CEO of My Event. My Event is actually the organizer of the African Expo in Malaysia. And one of the things we do as the Asian African Chamber of Commerce is connecting with people with open visions that can connect with us from diverse angles. And with the My Event is bringing Africa to Asia in Malaysia. So what can we do other than connecting with? So I would have really been excited to have Hema explain to us about the vision and how far we've really been able to go. I hope before we go out of this program, she'll be there to explain to us because she's out there in Malaysia right now, fixing the tables and dotting the T's.
All right. And that, of course, is very important, and we want to note that all is set back there to welcome those who will be exhibiting there. How many days do we have from now before the event?
We have less than
a month. It's about
less than a month, yes.
15th and to 17th of next month, I think.
Yes. We have less than a month, and one of the things that I want to say is one thing that can hold people from getting out there and showcasing what they have is the fear for financing. No matter how much you think and dream that you cannot make it, for sure you will never make it. But if you hope that you can, support may come in. So if there's anybody out there who really wants to step foot out there and connect with the right people and be on the big boys table, step in, DM, and we will pull you along with us. You are an agriculturist, because today everybody is looking at agriculture as a diving ground for everybody to step in. But do we have the expertise? Do we have the machinery that can take us to the next level? We're looking at what is happening right now in Ukraine and Russia, and there's a downpour of a lack.
All right.
We have lack in almost everything, from fertilizer. You know, fertilizer is actually disappearing right now, because in fact almost
The
every
price of bread is going up because
bread
of
is
the
because
inavailability of wheat,
of
which
wheat,
we rely
the
on.
flour that
from,
was.
yeah.
Now people are looking now at cassava. If you're a cassava producer and you hope you can process to do flour, you cannot do it at the comfort of your zone. You cannot do it at the comfort of your home. You have to step out there, meet like minds, you discuss and see how we can do hyper regenerating income products like flour created from cassava.
All right.
Let's come together. We just don't want, I don't want to be alone going to do that. I don't want you going alone. Let's come up as a team and build a big family so we can become what we really want to see. Nobody can build Africa for us except us.
Nobody can build Africa for us except us. Africa is the continent of the future, and how ready are economies to meet up with the challenge is our topic for discussion for the day, and we're going to take an opportunity to talk about the upcoming Asia Africa Expo in a few days from now. We have Miss Hema. Good afternoon, Miss Hema, and we're privileged to have you on the program.
I'm sorry, Miss Emma just got indisposed this afternoon. So Mr. Dylan, who is the project director, is here to represent Miss Emma.
All right, we will come back to him maybe possibly. Just time around for us to get the reactions of those of you who were indicating to share with us your opinions regarding our topic for the day. We have indications that there's a call online. Let's get your opinions. Thanks for joining us on the program. You're live on Africa Media, Views on the Continent. Good afternoon. Let's have your opinion. If you're there, let's hear you, please. All right, just before we come back to getting your reactions, while technicians are putting everything in order for us to get your reactions, maybe let's get to hear from Mr. Alphonse once more. Mr. Alphonse, Dr. Cendo here raised the issue of the lack of capacity building among Africans, and this, she says, we shouldn't blame the fact that we may be being marginalized. We should maybe somehow blame ourselves for not, equipping ourselves to meet up with the demands out there. What do you think as a scholar and someone who is into education? What do we do to meet up with the challenges?
Yeah, I think I agree with Dr. I think her name is. I think I agree with her because we identify 5 main causes of the fact that Africa is marginalized when it comes to international trade. We do have the nature, the war, going in Africa, the poverty, lack of agricultural infrastructure, the problem in environment problem, the fact that Africa is not an industrialized continent, and all those agreements, deal agreement that you have with that colonize Africa. So that's why it's very important to change structurally Africa framework to position Africa for the best deal in the future. If you don't make a change on those important key factors, even though we go to deal internationally, it's not going to be an advantage of African people. If our businesses, our entrepreneurs, they don't have access to finance, for example, at the bank, how they can increase, for example, their trade level. If we still be a continent that have the only things that we have is natural resources, and it's impossible for us to do the transformation here in Africa, and how we can really compete with industrialized countries. If we don't control our currency, if you have a multiplied different currency, how we can really take advantage. So there are some big work African people had to do, and that's why we welcome that AU initiative, the 2063 agenda, that is putting the framework for the future to be able to unite Africa as a continent, and also put Africa in the best position to renegotiate all those agreements that we have, and then take the best advantage of the initiative like Malaysia. So we do have a lot of work to do as African people. Our university, our schools, they have to rethink the program in terms of how the position the young African as to think bigger, to think out of the box, to be able to compete in international level.
Something to add?
This issue of us always going back to the fact that the government has to do this, the government has to do that. I have a particular problem with that. What is the private sector doing as its own?
The private sector is equally facing the same challenges, just like Mr. Chair Fons said, that the lack of fundings, not having access to loans or not having access to finance to maybe boost their startups or boost their, their businesses.
It's not the government to come and force things down your throat. I'm saying because I've been playing around with so many figures, around with people who take decisions and businessmen and women. I see how much they struggle to get these, and those who have succeeded, how did they get there and all of that. I think the main problem is not even that the government does not provide. It's the fear factor that is inside our young people that deny to go out there and ask. They think that if you want to get into a ministry, you must pass through somebody. They have this culture of you have to have an uncle sitting on top of the tree before you can eat a black plum. That's not true.
Is it a concept or reality? Maybe we're talking about the case of Cameroon.
No, I'm talking about a reality. I have entered ministries. I've spoken with ministers. It's just that I didn't think too fast. I would have sent you a lot of those pictures and videos just within this time and even before. I get to talk with these people. You just need to be purpose oriented.
Right.
Know what you are
the right
aiming
reason
for.
You're
Exactly.
them for.
Their doors are open for us, and in case they have finance at their disposal to sponsor that particular project you're bringing before them, they will. They will. The problem we have is we do a hearsay too much. And that is because we have local minds. If you think global, spell out your project. Try to do a visibility study instead of selling your mother's land and traveling out of the country to go do what you don't know what you're going to do. Why don't you sell that land and try what you have as a vision or a project and see and have a prototype, present it, and somebody really wants to sponsor you. Now, sometimes you meet these people who are looking for sponsorship, and when they actually give them this funding, the money disappears. Why does it disappear? The culture is killing them. We have to fix all of this.
As well, yeah.
We don't have a good culture, a growth culture. We have a consumer culture.
Okay. All right. We have a comment. If we're able to have the reactions on call, let's get your reactions quickly. You're welcome to the program. Let's get your opinion, please.
Hello, Comrade Luis and the panelists. I am Martin calling from Douala. Yes, Luis, it is actually decades now we're yearning for the development of Africa. So, and it has actually been proven now for decades that only Africans themselves must develop the economy. It is no longer time that we keep on waiting for the West to come and rule us with their constitutions, to come and rule us with all their laws, and with all what they have concocted from the West that just favor them and does not favor us. But two, as we are doing that, we must also note too that there are still some of us who are still acting like puppets of the West, that we must do away with them so that we actually create a system that is free of enablers. And then to Luis, for the question of what should African government do to ensure equal benefit from trade, we must also make sure that we promote bilateral trade and transparency within the various African countries. Then we must also change from our economy from a consuming to a producing economy. Most of our countries are only relying maybe from what actually come from the West and so on and so forth. We must also take in charge and make sure the kind of things that we import from Western countries, they are not things that will actually kill business within the African continent. Yes, the next point, Luis, we must bring on board factors that encourage trade within the continent. For example, like custom policies, like harmonization of custom duty, and also transport that facilitate the goods and services to move from one country to another. Then we must also export, Luis, only finished or semi-finished goods, particularly to the West, to make sure we boost opportunities within. When we are importing, when we export them, our raw materials, which has actually not been touched in any way, we discover that our GDP too affects our GDP, and also too we don't have jobs within our continent too. That will help to the youths so they have something doing and they contribute to the well-being of the economy. They must also make sure that we exchange goods and services, not by dollars, pounds, and so on and so forth. We exchange them only with technology. They look critically. When we move to buy things to the West, do they always ask the money? No, they come and take our resources for. So we get a technique whereby anything at all, if we want to exchange our finished or semi-finished goods to the West, we only exchange them with technology. Then the next point, Luis, we must make sure that no African leader signs any deal or accord with the West that exceeds its term of office, and there should also be laws if at all they do that. At least as soon as they are weighing off from office, at least the next government has a right to make sure that they revisit that too. So those are some of the things that most of these Western countries have actually been doing. And you look critically, you discover when the ECOWAS, they're actually planning for a single currency. You saw what Ivory Coast actually did, a new agreement with France, which actually thwarted that free currency. Then the last and not the least, Luis, we must also make sure that we harmonize our currencies. For example, the exchange rate. If not, why not start yearning for a common African currency? But since we still have differences in some of the currencies for now, at least we can harmonize our exchange rate, so that it will not affect trade too much. When goods are moving to another country, you discover they have more benefit. When they're moving somewhere, it's like maybe they are losing a lot. So I think those are some of the things, Luis, that we can actually stand up within ourselves, and we see that we develop Africa and make policies that suit our trajectory, and not only wait from the West to formulate some kind of things that favor them, but defavor us in so many ways. So once more, Luis, Dr. Mofo, and Chair, have a nice day and win today.
Maurice Martin, your opinion very clear, very much appreciated. Let's really get the next reaction. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon to you. You're live on Africa Media.
Is that particular what they call, is that thing they call mental slavery? That is what is killing us deep in Africa, because the West, they have made us in a way that we have believed in their product more than us, and we in Africa, we know that anything that comes from the West is just the best, and anything that is coming from Africa, it is not the best. Let me just quote an example just from the recent coronavirus that was plaguing the world today. You are going to bear with me that a lot of vaccines came from Africa, from Africa, and the African themselves, they were always kicking against. The African themselves, they were the first persons. They were the first person to kick against, to deny the vaccines that came from Africa, and we were just behind, waiting for the West to come up with their own vaccine. And you bet, and you can best with me, you can bear me witness that when the West brought their own vaccine, you are going to realize that many African countries, even in our own country Cameroon, we encourage it more than how they encourage that the locally vaccine, or the local vaccine that were being produced by the indigenous of this particular country. Like, just for example, like the vaccine that was being produced by the bishop of the Roman Catholic Church, bishop of the Roman Catholic Church. And if we want to change in Africa, then we must encourage our own things. We must encourage our own things. And our government also, they need to do by all possible means to encourage our products, and that is what is killing us, and that is what is killing our economy. That is what is killing our economy. If, for example, one of our cities, one citizen want to come up with any product, with anything, the high taxes alone is going to kill that particular person down.
Well, thank you very much, Graham Maxey. Thanks for your opinion, very much appreciated. Let's quickly go back to Malaysia. Those of you via Zoom, we are interested to equally know how many persons are you expecting to host in Malaysia, as you're expecting, from the 15th and possibly 17th of next month. How many persons are you aiming at hosting so far?
Yeah, thank you very much for your introduction. We're expecting at least 150 booths, equally about 60% from the Malaysian Asia side and 40% from the Africa continent. And we're expecting at least 10,000 trade delegation from both continents, Africa and Asia. As we all know that these are the two giant continents in the globe, with 1.2 billion population coming from Africa and about 4.7 billion from the Asia side. So I'm sure that most of us have already reacted and a lot of information has been shared. So from our end, we think that this is the apt time after the 2 years pandemic that two big continents going together at one place to actually look for new avenue to penetrate their own products that is ready to export. Thank you.
Thanks for that. And possibly we're going to end with you, Dr. Cendo. We are barely a month away from that event, and registration is still open for those from maybe Cameroon, which you're representing, who might want to register. Should still get to you right up to what date? When is the closing of registration for those who are interested?
Up to July 1st. Up to July 1st, we can still register and process your visa very quick for us to take off by the 11th. Because we should be taking off from here by 11th and we returning by the 19th. Yes, we trying to see that those who will go out there, we organizing an executive administrative meeting or conference to redefine some of these things that we're talking about here. Positioning yourself for global influence, because if you're not rightly positioned, you cannot even recognize the opportunities that are placed before you. And mindful that as the Asian African Chamber of Commerce, we are trying to see how much more we can let our country benefit as much as possible, looking to the fact that we produce but we never go to the finishing. We just know how to plant and then we don't know how to process. We need to connect with the people that would show us the how and even teach us the how, even for the creation of machinery. We want to have it done in our land. We're talking about decision making and all of that. One of the decisions that in my office, I have taken is seeing that in Cameroon, every trade exchange, bilateral exchange that's going to take place, we stand at the beneficial end. There is no way any of our companies is going to be signing a company deal outside this country with us being at 50-50%. No, we have to be from 60-40, 70-30. We have to benefit. We have gone past the time of slavery and exploitation. We have the lands, of course. We have the expertise. No, we do not have the expertise. That's what we're borrowing. But while signing these deals, we have to be smart enough so we don't be at the slave level. So we are here to watch the deals you're going to be signing and signing them with the right contract terms, clearly spelled in your favor. So if you know, you can join us. You can reach out to us today.
All right, and definitely if you want to join, you can always reach out. The platforms, you can, like you said, Dr. Cendo, you can always reach out on Facebook. Drop a comment and maybe get to our inbox to find out more about the upcoming expo. It's holding 15 to 17 July. Definitely, she said registration is open right up to
the 1st of July. Since we have
Yeah.
a flexible way of coming up with the visa processing, yes. We've already confirmed that at the level of Lagos, Nigeria, because that's where the visas will be processed.
Okay.
So we already have a very good network out there.
Okay. And definitely, that's where we put a cap on today's edition. Dr. Cendo, thank you very much. You are the Asia Africa Chamber of Commerce President of Cameroon and equally the President of NES Consolidated.
Yes, I am.
We hope you to wish you all the best as you are organizing towards this very important event in Malaysia.
Thank you so much, and thank you. I'm grateful that the government is really supporting in their own way, and I'm happy too with the local community that is supporting. We are a success already.
Okay. Mr. Alphonse, thank you very much for your time. Mr. Alphonse, you're President of Board of Governors of University of Sunny Boniface in Canada. Thank you very much for your time, sir. We wish you a very beautiful day back there in Canada and all the best. We equally had participation from those joining us via Zoom, equally from Malaysia, telling us how prepared the Malaysia is to welcome more than 10,000, like they said, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, 10,000. 40% of those exhibiting in Malaysia will be coming from Africa. So Africa, there's much for you to benefit. And the chances are, of course, open right up to July 1 for those of you participating or want to participate from Cameroon. Always get to Dr. Cendo at any time up to July 1. All is set and ready for that. Until then, tomorrow is another day. Join us on Africa Media to find out what must have been happening on Africa. And we equally thank you, those of you who were watching us via Facebook. We saw your comments, and let's quickly get this comment which came in from you. Bungong Valerie, you say what we need is to take African industrialization to the next level is good governance, good government policy. Africans can have great initiatives, but the colonial agents we have as leaders are busy protecting their interests for their colonial masters. Says greetings to all in the studio watching live from Abu Dhabi. Thank you very much and wish you a very pleasant day. Until tomorrow, more programs are yours on Africa Media. Bye bye for now.
Afrique Media, le monde, c'est nous.
Hello, you're on the program. Good day to you, sir.